What up, guys? You are looking at some of my training here from this past month's training block. So the goals, of course, was just to kind of get back into training to, get back into a routine of doing some regular kind of higher volume lifts or higher volume workload so that I would get accustomed to that. You can see from the description down there that I am doing, this is 325 pounds by 3. I was kind of just testing. I just put on something, I think this was about what my max previously was. I would not recommend using your training max as a testing weight for reps. Typically, if you've been training for a while, but since I hadn't been training and I am currently able to make a pretty significant amount of progress, that's not such a bad practice. So I'm coming back to it. This is just some regular training. I did bench and squat this day, and I had hoped bench would go a little bit better than it did, but it's not so bad. This was 120 kilos, and this was finishing up the Sheiko program, or at least doing this. I decided to start working like midway through the program on sumo deadlift, which I've never really invested enough time in to really get good at. So I'm kind of shaky on it. I'm not really getting into good positions with it, but hopefully with some practice and consistent work, I will be able to improve that. I'm going to be doing kind of a higher rep training block coming up. I decided to use something similar to Sheiko, but I wanted to do something with just higher reps and not for any other reason than just something different to do. I've typically trained kind of in that 3 to 5 rep range, and I considered that maybe going for higher reps would possibly be a better muscle growth stimulus, but after going through a lot of different research on the topic, that does not look like that's really the case. Nearly all research comparing the number of sets that you do, whether it be in, say, a 3, 5, or 10 rep range, does not seem to make a significant difference on the muscle that is grown, given that the end of that set or each set that you do has a similar degree of difficulty. So if you do a weight with, say, 5 reps that you could have done for 20 reps, well, that probably is not going to be a very good stimulus. But if you do it for 5 reps and you still have, say, 2 or 3 reps that you could have done after that, and then you do a set with 10 reps that you could have done for another 2 or 3 reps when you did the final rep, then those seem to produce similar results as far as muscle growth. So then the real question comes to how many sets are you going to do within a given rep range, and so that really will kind of be a big factor. But I still decided to do higher reps anyways, because as an older now lifter, when I first started this channel, I was not in this category, but now I am going to be 40 years old, and things affect me differently. I'm not able to keep up with, I get injured more than I used to, which I'm not currently injured, so that's good. But, my weight during this, I've added some muscle, I think, because I've added a lot of strength, so I'm getting adding more muscle, but my weight has not really changed. But hopefully that means that I'm doing a good job recompositioning. So I would like to, of course, get back to the shape that I was in previously when I trained regularly, and that will kind of be the goal. But so these were the lifts. In the next training block that I plan on doing, I used Mike Israetel from Renaissance Periodization. He has a whole thing on training considerations and things that to kind of keep note of, to kind of help you build your own programs, and they use the same Soviet sports science research that was done that Sheiko used. So in that way, it makes a sensible transition, a sensible thing to do, since I'm already accustomed to Sheiko, and that's kind of what I prefer. But I actually was able to pick my own lifts and build my own program. So I'm going to go to that now and kind of give you an overview of what I plan to do going forward. You can see I'm going to be doing lots of sets of 10, and I'm starting in the 60% range. That will probably go up weekly to some degree. I'm just starting at 60%, and we'll see each week how I feel. I do at least 4 sets of a given muscle group each time I do it. So you can see on day 1, I start out with front squats, and I'm doing that by 10 reps for 3 sets. And then in the last exercise on day 1, there is single leg squats. So I end up doing 6 sets total that day, 8 sets the next week in week 2, and then in week 3, then it will be 10 sets total for that day, because there's 5 in the first exercise, which is front squats, and then 5 in the last exercise, which is the single leg squats. And then on days where I only do, say, squats, down here on day 3, you can see that I start out with 4 sets. So then increasing sets week to week is the biggest factor in increasing the amount of workload that I do. And that resembles very much the way that Sheiko kind of increases the volume and the amount of work that you do in order to produce better muscle growth and results in that. So that's about it. This will kind of serve as the template for the next 4 weeks of training, and then I'll probably decrease the reps and start out with something else. If I test, I will not test again at the end of this, but maybe I'll drop the reps down to, say, 5 reps in the next one, and I'll probably test at the end of that 4-week period and see if my maxes have increased very much. And I'll test by doing a max set of reps, and then using a calculator then to see if my 1 rep estimated max goes up. That's not always a good measurement, but it's something to kind of gauge your results and how you're progressing from block to block, especially given that I'm able currently to make quite a bit of progress because I'm just coming back to lifting. Then it's better to kind of frequently gauge how you're progressing. If I had been training this entire time over the past few years and I was not making very much progress anymore, because that's inevitably what happens as you progress as a lifter, is you don't make as much progress from block to block, well, then in that case I would probably end up going longer periods of time without ever changing my estimated maxes or what I'm basing my training off of. So that's it. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you have any thoughts or ideas, I'd love to hear what you have to say in the description box or in the comment section below. Until next time, you take it easy and peace out.